Okay, so namaste, welcome, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me for September's monthly masterclass. I've been running this masterclass ever since May this year, and every month has been a different theme. So this month's theme is so exciting to me. You can already tell, like, I'm so lit up by this topic. I just love it. So just before we start, please make sure you're in a quiet space, have your journal to hand, your notebook, your pen, get some water if you need to. Really commit to this, right? Imagine that you're like paying a premium amount for this workshop. Just act like that. Please, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. I am so hyped up about this topic and I want you to get the most out of it. So make sure you're ready, make sure you're prepared, because the topic for tonight is karma versus Dharma. Karma versus Dharma. Okay, who's heard of karma before? Everyone? Who's heard of Dharma before? Maybe perhaps not as many people. So just write on the chat box, introduce yourself and say why you're here tonight. What is it that you would like to gain from this session and particularly from this topic? Maybe you didn't know what the topic was. Perhaps you've just come and it's taken you by surprise, or perhaps you do know. Natasha, if you could please turn your video on, that would be great. So just introduce yourself on the chat box and say who you are and why you're here, because this just helps me to gain an understanding as to where you are on your journey. We're all at different stages. Some of us might be right at the beginning, diving into these concepts. Perhaps some of you are further along. Doesn't matter where you are. The main thing is what you're ready to receive from this, because we're going to go deep. That's why I say make sure you've got lots of pages in your notebook, because it's not so much about writing lots of things down, it's about absorbing and embodying. My work is all about helping people apply spirituality with practicalities. It's not just theory, it's about how do we embody that theory. So Dell's written on the group, he's here to learn about healing himself. Wow, I love that. That is such a positive way to start. Healing yourself, definitely. And that's exactly what karma is all about. It's about healing. Natasha's joining as a newbie and very curious to learn more. Love that. Absolutely love curiosity. It's one of my favorite traits. So if you could all please introduce yourselves and say what you'd like to gain from this evening, that would be great. So let's start with, what's your understanding of the word karma? We hear it being thrown about so much, don't we? But what do you think that it means? So just write in the chat box, what do you think karma means to you? Or what's your general understanding of the word karma? Natasha writes, what's destined for you? Yeah, exactly. Yes. What else? We hear sayings, don't we? Like, what comes around goes around. You heard that? It's a very popular saying. That's related to karma. The law of action. Yes, that's an excellent one. The law of action and reaction. Good. What else? What does karma mean to you? Share on the chat box. Balance. Yeah, when things are in equal balance, when things are being aligned accordingly, according to the universal law. We get what we give. I love that. Exactly that. Whatever we give out, we get back in return. And that's not just actions, that's also our inactions, that's also our thoughts. Thoughts create karma as well. Not many people know that, but even thinking something, if it's not sincere, or it doesn't have a pure intention behind it, that will have to come back. For example, in the marketplace, if somebody tries to overcharge you, they know that product is not worth that much, but they try to deceive you, manipulate you. That's negative karma that they will have to pay consequence for. So karma is not just action, but it's also inaction. It's also thoughts. What else? Tell me, what's your understanding of karma? It's about aligning your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Del says it's about balance, exactly. Everything has to come to us in equal balance. What else? Our intentions, yes. Our intentions need to align with what we want to create. So then, on the other hand, what do we think Dharma is? So if karma is all of these things, what do you think Dharma is? Dharma is truth. Yes, I love that. Beautiful. Dharma is purpose. Yeah. Sanskrit word meaning purpose. Yes. What do we mean by that? Let's dive deeper. What does purpose mean? Meaning. Yeah. Meaning in our lives. Achieving our end goals. Yes. All of those things are right. What else? Truth. Yeah. Love that. Okay. All right. What we're going to do now, we're going to do an exercise. So I'd like you to get, as Craig says, to follow our calling. Beautiful. Love that. So how do we know what our calling is? That's exactly what you're going to learn tonight. So I'd like you to get a blank piece of paper in your journal, and I'd like you to draw 2 columns. I was actually going to do this as a presentation. Initially, I was going to do slides, and then I thought actually I'd prefer to make it interactive because I want to learn from you as much as you learn from me. So we're doing this together. So on your piece of paper, I'd like you to draw 2 columns, and in the left-hand column, write the word karma, and in the right-hand column, write Dharma. So we're going to list out all of those different things that we've just mentioned about karma and Dharma. So let me know once you've done that. And you'll need a long piece of paper for this. The columns are going to be long. It will help if everybody has their video on, please. It's just nice to look at people as opposed to your letters. So if you've got your 2 columns ready, we're going to write in the first one. So karma is programming, okay? It's the programmed, conditioned mind. So you'll often hear people talk about the conditioning of the mind. So the programming, neuro-linguistic programming, is what I'm trained in. And what this is about is it's like the internal operating system of our brain. So this is the way that we are programmed to think, behave, and act. So as you know, everything stems from our thoughts, but our thoughts they come from our environment, so nature and nurture. So depending on our upbringing, our thoughts can be conditioned or programmed in a way that does not align with our calling and our truth. So this is why this fits into the category of karma, because it's programming, it's filtered mind, it's that kind of mechanical mind that's not necessarily open to your truth. So your truth, when I say your, I mean you, the soul. We all know now we are a soul in a human body. Your truth is much greater. than the programmed mind. Okay, so in the karma column, we're writing words like mechanical, program, dogmatic, perhaps religious, if you had a religious upbringing, conditioned. So do you see where we're going with this? This is what people have told you, or they have made you into, but it's not you. It's not the real you. You have a chance to change this now. Is this resonating with you? Write in the chat box. So I said this is going to be interactive, so it would, yeah, help if you engage. So what exactly are you taking from this about this programming, this mechanical mind that we're talking about? Beliefs, yeah, yeah, exactly. So beliefs come into this. Our beliefs are programmed by our parents, by our schooling, by our society. So, for example, if our parents believed that rich people are greedy, let's just say, right? We then, as children, are going to grow up and believe that, unless we're told otherwise or unless we experience otherwise. If we're told as children by our school, oh, doing arts and crafts is a waste of time, you should be doing academics instead, that's what we're going to think. So do you see what we mean about programming? So it's whatever we are told or taught. And most of our beliefs actually happen before the age of 7, but we're still creating beliefs all our lives. Even now as adults, we're creating and we're reinforcing beliefs as well. Because when something happens in our life, that actually either backs up our existing belief or it makes us create a new one. So let's say, for example, the rich person one. Let's say, oh, you were told rich people they're greedy and they're money-minded and they're selfish. Perhaps that's what you thought or you think. And then you end up being in a relationship with someone who is rich, and then you have a bad experience. That's only going to reinforce that limiting belief. So when we say that we're stuck, we use the word stuck. In karmic cycles, what we mean is we're stuck in programmed, conditioned thinking. That was not our experience. That was your parents' experience. That was your head teacher's experience. Like that was your friends, your relatives, that was society imposing on you their views. But now you as an adult have a choice. You have a choice. Yeah, your peers as well. Exactly. Your peers also contribute. In fact, I'd say, I was actually just talking yesterday to somebody about this, and she was saying that we're doing our best as parents. And I said, do you know, I actually think friends have more influence on children than parents do, because friends are together most of the day, right? And children are so easily influenced by their peers. Yeah, Dell says karmic pollution. Love that. Yes, exactly. So in this left-hand column, what other words could you write? And these are not bad. It's not about, okay, karma is bad, dharma is good. We're not saying that. We're saying that we're living in this world where we're having to go through our karma. Every single human being, if we are here, we have to be influenced. Yes, love that word, influenced by our surroundings. And therefore we have to finish our karmic cycles and our karmic contracts. That's another word for, our kind of what we have to go through, karmic contracts. Another way of looking at karma is obligation. And this is something that I've recently had to overcome. Many of you know my own story, that I've been running a dance school for the past 20 years. I mean, imagine staying in one job for even 5 years, let alone running a business for 20 years. And I had a sense of responsibility. That's another word for karma, column, commitment. But also in the last few years, I started feeling obligation. And I knew I was feeling that because when it would come to me going in to my dance school, going into the studio to teach, I started to feel obliged. And that's not a nice feeling. Do any of you ever feel that about your job? Do you ever wake up and think, oh, I'm obliged to go to my job? Or if you run a business, do you feel obliged to work with some clients? Have you experienced that? Let me know in the chat box. You have. And what does it feel like? For me, it was weighing me down. It was this sense of heaviness. There was a heaviness in my body and in my energy field. We talk about energy a lot here because energy is everything, right? A lot of us say, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so drained. Go to sleep earlier, right? But it's not about that, is it? Sleep's not going to do it. Vitamins are not going to do it. Nutrition's not going to do it. Because from within, you're not feeling that vitality. Vitality can only come with doing what you love. And so when you start thinking to yourself, it's just about the money, that's when you get into this trap, this cycle. And that is coming from your limiting beliefs, which we just talked about. I've got to do it because I've got to pay the bills. I have got to. Notice the language. So limiting, isn't it? How do you know you're in karma? How do you know you're stuck in karma? We're all in karma, by the way. How do we know we're stuck in it? Because of the language we use. Language such as, I have to, I need to, I've got to, I should have more clients. I need to make more money. I have to do this. But it's so limiting, isn't it? It's so, it's almost suffocating. You feel that, like that contraction in the body when I'm saying these words, they don't feel good, do they? That's how we know we're stuck. We're stuck in this trap of karma because the language we're using on a daily basis is coming from a place of obligation, expectation. I have to do this because that's what they want from me. And you might think that's normal, isn't it? All of us think, yes, we do, but we don't have to. That's what I want you to take away from today. We don't have to. You can still pay the bills. You can still achieve your goals, but you don't have to do it from this space. This place of expectation, responsibility, commitments. Anything that involves a contract is karma. So your contract with your electricity supplier is karma. Your Netflix subscription is karma. I recently went through my bank statement and I found that I had this subscription for something that I have never used. And I was so gutted. I was so disappointed in myself. And it was quite a lot of money. And I'm normally so organized with things, but I just must have missed it. And it was every month going out of my bank. And I was like, really quite, upset about that. But this is all karma, right? I must have owed that money to that company. You know, that was me having to pay my debts. Another word the karma, karmic debts. So write all of this in the column on the left. Contracts, commitments, debts, responsibility, expectation. They're all heavy words, aren't they? They don't make you feel good. Also, property. Property is karma. The more property you have, the more you have to worry about them. Even if you have a property manager, even if you have an agent looking after them, there's still somewhere in the back of your mind, right? You have to think, oh, I've got that flat on rent. I'm not saying any of this is good or bad. It just is. Anything you want to comment on this, what we're saying so far? Anything that's coming up for you? So any of your reflections, please share. What are you realizing? Dell's smiling, so waiting to see what's going to come. Please drink water as we go along. A lot of energy is shifting. You're realizing things perhaps that, you know, you haven't thought about before. So keep things moving. I want you to have breakthroughs tonight. So Natasha's saying, I think the expectation shift from those others that have of you to them self-imposed. Exactly. Yes. Our parents, they have so much influence over us, don't they? And then it's about now saying, as an adult, do you know what? I'm going to look at everything objectively. Perhaps some of the things they told you were good. Maybe your parents taught you to respect elders. It's beautiful. That's a lovely belief to have. Keep it if that aligns with you. But it's about being discerning and being like, okay, what did my parents tell me? What did my school tell me? Let's dissect it and look at it objectively and see, does this serve me or not? Is it limiting me? So any other reflections that you want to share? Anything that's coming up for you as we're going through this? Limiting beliefs, yeah, that can go in the karma column. Relationships can be karmic relationships. You know, some people in our life, we wouldn't have necessarily chosen, would we? They say you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. That's because we have that karmic soul contract. Just yesterday, I was speaking to a parent and saying, did you know that your, children, they are contracted to you on a soul level? You chose them and they chose you. And so many of us, especially if we don't have good relationships with our parents, we're like, how would I have ever chosen my parents? But you did on a soul level, and you did because you needed to learn. You needed to experience lessons, and they were the right people to teach you those lessons. So that's the reason we're here. We're here to learn lessons and grow. That's it. Being on earth, living life, is nothing but school or university. The problem is, some of us don't want to study. We just want to have fun. That's why we keep making the same mistakes again and again, because we're basically failing those modules again and again. So if you look at life like university, the syllabus, the curriculum is your soul lessons. But because we're not necessarily following the syllabus, that's why we're having to do retakes. That's why people have relationship, like the same themes again and again, or same friendships. They seem to attract people that want to borrow their money all the time or put them down or whatever it is. The patterns keep repeating themselves because the universe, God, is saying, okay, you didn't learn. It's okay. Retake until you learn. Natasha's laughing. So is this landing with you? Is it resonating? Yeah, that's why I like seeing your videos on, because then I can see reactions. I can see what's sinking in. You know, I want you to go away with breakthroughs, realizations, light bulbs. This stuff took me years to learn. I'm simplifying it for you. So what else is landing for you? Tell me, right on the chat box. Life is like school or university. Yeah, write that down. Hold on to it. Remember it. Next time you're like, oh, why is life so hard? It's because you're making it hard. Just put your head down and study. That's it. It's like going to college and saying, oh, I just want to go to, you know, hang out in the common room or whatever it's called nowadays. Okay. Keep sharing. I like to read in the chat box. So we've said the language that people use when they're stuck in karma. I was using this language about myself just up until a few months ago. I have to, I should, I need to. Okay. Whereas Dharma, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. Dharma is, as we said earlier, it's your soul's truth. So karma is your mind. Yeah. The mind is limited. It's powerful, but it's still limited. But Dharma is your soul's truth. And that means that it's in your soul is so abundant. Your soul is so beautiful. I'm pointing here because the soul is located here in the space of the third eye where the pineal gland is. That's where the soul is located. That's its home. So when you meditate on this third eye, that's when you activate your soul consciousness. That's when you step into your higher self. You often hear me talk about higher self and lower self, right? So if you want to tap into your soul, you need to work on activating your third eye so that you can be in your higher self. And then when you're in your higher self, you can learn the lessons, the soul lessons, and then in Craig's words, study the crap out of them. Your higher self is giving you the lessons. You're just not listening. Your higher self is like, hello, did you not get that? Like you're having to repeat things again and again. That's a sign. Everything is a sign. Everything. There's no coincidences. It's all just signs. It's like, you know, when you're in an escape room and you've got to figure this out, figure that out, and get the code and get the. I don't like escape rooms. They're too complicated for me, but I love life. And life is like an escape room. You've just got to figure it out. But because you're too busy trying to get out, you're not actually focusing on figuring out the puzzle or whatever it is. So the lessons are there. You know what they are. The lesson might be you've got to learn patience. You've got to learn trust. You've got to learn forgiveness. These are examples of what your soul lessons might be. But because you're resisting them, that's why they're not happening. So then something else has to happen to show you. And then again, you're still not listening. Then again, something else has to happen. So that's what it's like. So stepping into Dharma is when you are operating from your truth. So you're operating from your higher self. So karma is operating from your lower self. It's your conscious mind, it's your logical mind, it's the one that's basically just built for survival. It's just wanting to get through the day. Dharma is, as I say, a place of abundance. So it's understanding yourself on a soul level. And it's when your intrinsic nature meets your higher purpose. So people often say to me, I wish I knew what my purpose was. And it's like, just go inwards. I say to them, just find yourself. Because when you find your true self, that's when you find your purpose. Your purpose is not external. It's not like, oh yeah, that's it. That could be a job title or something like that. But your actual purpose, which is an amalgamation of everything that you are, is intrinsic. It comes from within. So you can't look externally for it. You can get guidance externally, like you're doing now, attending this class, doing my course, listening to meditation. All these things are going to help you, but ultimately the answer is going to come from within. The answer will not come from the logical mind, the lower mind. It's going to come from the higher self. So it's not going to come in the form of thought. It's going to come in the form of light. Yeah. Lower self operates from thought, rationale, whereas the higher self operates from light. So it's just going to come to you. That's why we say light bulb moment, because it just comes. Has anybody had an experience like that, where it just comes? Write in the chat box. Let me know what's coming up for you now. So Dell's asking a question. It's very good. I love that. I love it when people ask questions. Is Dharma forgiving? No, Dharma is your soul's truth. So it's your purpose. So forgiveness is one of the soul lessons. It's a key quality that we must all learn to have. That would be the experiences that you go through in your karma would get you to the stage where you become a very forgiving person, if that's one of your things. Some people are naturally like that from birth. That means that that's not one of their lessons. So if you're naturally forgiving, it's fine. It's like you've done that module. Tick, don't bother, move on. One of my modules, my lesson, is patience. I'm so impatient. You would never believe that, but I am. I'm like, I want everything yesterday. I used to like open my Christmas presents on Christmas Eve, you know, because I was so impatient. I hate surprises as well. So I'm aware of that. And now I'm having to work through it. I'm wanting to work through it. I shouldn't say having. I'm wanting to, because I know it's one of my soul lessons. And if I don't, I'm going to have to be reborn and again have to do all this. So I don't want to bother with that. I'm just going to get it over and done with in this life. What's coming up for you? What do you think? What are the patterns? What are the lessons that you think maybe you're here to learn? So we all have an individual Dharma, but we also have a collective Dharma. And the same with karma, by the way. We have an individual karma and we have a collective karma. So our family, as I said earlier, we chose our parents and children and relatives. So therefore, that's a collective karma. Our country is a collective karma as well. So if you've moved country, it's because you've got karma with the country, which you will not know like why, but later on you might find out that, oh yeah, that was meant to happen because da, da, da. So if you think of it like an escape room, everything has to happen in that order because it's all supposed to get you to the end goal. And the end goal of an escape room is to escape. But the end goal of life is to complete all your soul lessons and to go back home. Soul world, to merge with the universe. That's the whole objective. So Craig is admitting some of he's bravely sharing some of his lessons, which he thinks that he's here to learn. Patience, calmness, contentment, inner peace and happiness. Yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely, yeah, based on what the work we've been doing together, I definitely agree that those are a few of your lessons. And until you actually embrace them and do them, you're going to just have to keep going through situations which are going to test those. Anyone else feel like sharing the lessons that they think that they're here to learn? So Dell has learnt patience by fishing. Yeah, that's great. It doesn't matter how you do it. The modality does not matter. So the medium through which you do it does not matter. It's about just getting there. It's like when you're studying for an exam, whether you stay up all night, whether you structure your studying in this way, that way, it doesn't matter. You've just got to get there. So Natasha's saying one of her lessons is to have perspective and open-mindedness. Yeah, love that. That's a great realization. So open-mindedness is about letting go of everything you've ever been taught or told. And that's quite scary, isn't it? To do that. It's like, oh my gosh, who am I then if I don't have all of this stuff cluttering my mind? But that's what it's doing. It's cluttering. As I say, you have a choice now. You have a choice to break free. So Dharma is about operating from free will. Not many people know this, but we actually have free will. Some people think we're puppets on a string and we're just basically going from thing to thing, circumstance to circumstance, and we're, there's some schools of thought that think that things are pre-written, predestined. I don't believe that. I believe that we have free will and that we are able to choose what happens to us, but on a soul level, not on a conscious level. Like if you were consciously asked, would you like to suffer pain? Would you like to have a severe health diagnosis? You'd obviously say no. But on a soul level, if you were asked, do you want to have this severe health diagnosis so that you can learn empathy, understanding, resilience, etc., then you'd be like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Yeah. Because in one experience, I can tick off this many modules, this many lessons. So yeah, I'll do that actually. Yeah, that sounds good. Right? That's what happened to me. I went through a major diagnosis and scare as well. And through that process, I learned loads. So I basically fast-tracked my way through the syllabus, which would have otherwise taken multiple lifetimes. But because I accepted that. So that's what we mean by free will. The soul chooses, the soul accepts. That's why you're not aware of it. And you're like, I would never have chosen this life. I wouldn't have chosen that person to be whatever, my partner or but it's because on a soul level you did. Anything coming up for you about that? Any realizations about free will? So we do actually have more freedom than we think. So another way of looking at Dharma is freedom. It's living from a place of freedom. And freedom is not being able to just go anywhere and do anything and not having responsibilities. That's not what I mean. It's about freedom of mind. Because even if you have the freedom to go wherever you want, I have somebody who comes to me for coaching, she has no responsibilities. Her children are grown up. She's got no pets. She's got nothing to worry about. Plenty, of money, no problems at all. And I'm like, if I was you, I'd like go traveling the world. I'd do this, I'd do that. But she doesn't. She barely goes out of the house. She just eats at home every day. And she's quite content. So freedom is not necessarily just swanning off and doing your own thing. It's about having freedom of mind. You could have someone who's, let's say, a really drastic example, someone who's in prison. They might be in a tiny cell, but their mind might be free. They might not feel that they're confined. It's all about your state of mind. That's what happened to Nelson Mandela, right? People write books. I think he wrote his book when he was in prison. People write books, people do all sorts. So it's about your state of mind. It's about the way you perceive things. So it's not about your external circumstances. It's about how you look at things from within. So what kind of language would somebody use if they were operating from Dharma? So we've already said the karma language, which is I have to, I should, I need to. What kind of language? Write in the chat box. What kind of words? I love to, yes, exactly. I would love to. So next time you get invited out somewhere, rather than saying like, oh yeah, I'll need to come, or I'll have to come, or I should go, I'd love to. See how it changes. Craig says, I am, I can, I will, yes. I like to, I want to, yes. Yes. But it's not about saying those words for the sake of it, it's about meaning it. It's about feeling it. So it's about shifting your thinking from I have to do this because it's expected of me to actually I want to do this. Now, this is where people start getting confused in this process because they're like, so are you saying I need to neglect my responsibilities because there's some things that I have to do, like I have to take my son for football practice or I have to take my daughter to ballet. I don't necessarily want to do that, but I have to. So yes. Now in this situation, you are operating from karma, but you can turn this into dharma, okay? If you shift your perception, if you shift the way you think about it. So it's as simple as changing the language. So I have to take them to football practice turns into I want to take them to football practice because I know it's really good for him. So it's about thinking about it in a more positive way. And then you're not operating from obligation, you're operating from truth. So if I was waking up thinking, I can't wait to go into my dance class today and teach, because I know it's really important for children to learn dance. It helps with their motor skills and their cognitive skills. And then, of course, I wouldn't have thought about closing down my dance studio, right? But the fact is, I was thinking about it in the opposite way. So it's all about the way you think about things. So how can we shift our language to be able to operate from our Dharma, our truth? So everything becomes aligned with who we are and it's part of our purpose. So going back to that example, your responsibility to your children is no longer a responsibility which feels like a heaviness. But instead, it's a pleasure. It's I love to wake up and make breakfast for my children, so they are healthy, and then they go to school and they can concentrate, whatever, right? It's all about the way you think about it. And the reason that diets don't work and gym plans don't work is because we're operating from that place of I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. I need to do 10,000 steps a day. See the language? Rather than the people who say, oh, I love to do. It's such a pleasure to do. And if you don't feel that way, it means it's not meant for you. Find something else to do. You don't have to do 10,000 steps a day just because everyone else does, or they say that. Find something else that works better for you. Could be a home workout. So Craig's asking a really good question. So is habit forming a part of Dharma? Yes. You're forming new habits, but they're based on your truth, on who you really are, not based on who you think you should be. So it's more about a state change. It's more about the way that you perceive things, more about the way you look at things. And so because I said it's a state change, your whole energy changes. So karma energy is like this, it's hunched, it's contracted, it's heavy. Dharma energy, it's light, it's free, it's flowing. Right now, this moment, I'm in my Dharma. Can you tell? If I was in my karma, like, I'll have to do this masterclass, it would show up in my energy, right? That's why when you're watching presentations, perhaps at work, some people are just so hard to listen to, aren't they? Because they're operating from obligation. Like they have to do it. And then other people are just lit up. And that's where you want to be. We want to transition you from karma to Dharma. So everything you do is from a place of truth and freedom. So you feel free in your mind. Even if your circumstances are different, doesn't matter. Circumstances are subjective. It's the way you feel in your mind. So share your thoughts about this. It's coming up for you as we talk about these differences between karma and Dharma. And now I'm going to ask you a trick question. This comes up a lot when I do my Dharma coaching. People often get confused by this and tripped up. If we're saying that karma is obligation and Dharma is truth and goodness, where would voluntary work sit? Where would like charitable work? Which column would that fit into? It's a trick question. Right on the chat box. Dell says would be Dharma, 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 Dharma. Yeah, it's who is M? If you write your full name, because that person has got the right answer. Mariam, hi Mariam. Yes, Mariam got the right answer. It is your intention. People assume that, oh, because you did charity or voluntary work, you're operating from your soul's truth and your soul's purpose. No, no, no. Because if you're doing it with an impure intention, that means you're in karma. Like, oh, I'm going to do charity to make me feel good or to show off to my society or whatever. It's not pure. It's not pure intention. There's no point doing it. It's a negative thought. It's actually, do you know, it's creating negative karma. You're going to have to pay the price for that. Not you, but the people that do that. I don't think anyone here does that. We'll have to pay the price for that, because remember we said at the beginning that karma is about action, inaction, and thoughts as well. Even thinking negatively, like, oh, if I do that, then that's going to make me look good. That's negative karma. You've just created a debit in your bank account, like your account, your karmic account. It's all about intention. If your intention is pure, then yes, it's Dharma. If it's not, it's karma. That's why that was a trick question. Okay, we're going to start to wrap up now, but what are your takeaways from today? Has it helped you to understand the differences? Mariam says it was a lot of new information. Good. And thank you for being so open to that new information, so receptive to it. You know, sometimes when things are outside our programming or our culture or whatever we're brought up with, it's sometimes quite daunting to take on new ideas. But the fact that you've been open, it's wonderful. It's great. So you should be very proud of yourself. Natasha says that she's got more clarity on what they both are and what they mean. Good. And now what are you going to do with that clarity? That's the next question. What are you going to do with that going forward? Are you going to be more mindful in your day-to-day life? Are you going to ask yourself, where am I operating from? You know, recently I was invited out for drinks in London for someone's birthday. And when I got the invitation, I didn't feel excited. I felt like, oh, have to go on the train to London. It's only drinks, no dinner. Like, is there a point? I don't really want to go. This was karma, right? Would it have been fair for me to go? Do you think that person celebrating their birthday would want me there? Knowing that I felt that way. And it was nothing personal about them. It was me. I didn't want to go. I felt obliged. I should go. I have to go. They came to mine, so I should go to theirs. And then I caught myself. I was like, I'm operating from karma. Don't go. Because again, that's bad karma. If I'd have gone, would have had to pay the price somewhere down the line. So you have a choice. You have a choice and you need to be truthful. So I just said, I'm sorry, I can't come. Often in that situation, we try to justify ourselves. I can't come because of X, Y, Z, and make up lots and lots and lots of excuses. But actually, that's not truthful. So when we have to align our thoughts to our words, to our intentions, to our actions. Let me write that for you. Thoughts, words, intentions, actions. All these four things need to be aligned. So if I'm thinking I don't want to go because London's too far, but I say to the person, I'm not coming because I have another commitment on that day, it's misalignment. It's a lie. It's a lie. So I can't say to the person, I don't want to come because that's going to offend them. So the best thing to do is just say less. I cannot come. Sorry, I won't be coming. That's it. I asked somebody to come to the masterclass tonight and they wrote back, thank you, but I won't be coming. That was it. I was like, okay. All right, that told me. Fine. No reason. Not even, she didn't put, I can't come. She put, I won't. And that's what's like, fine. Whatever. It's okay. At least she was truthful. She will not be coming. She's not here. It's the truth. So, yeah, one of your takeaways for tonight, be truthful. Craig says that it was good to reinforce the differences. Good. Dell says that it's given me a lesson, as I always thought karma was reaping what you sow, and I never knew about Dharma. Yeah. Good. We often hear about the negative side of karma, but there's a positive side as well. And everything is in equal balance. That's what I want you to go away with. Whatever's meant to be for you will come to you. If you desire a bigger house, success, child, whatever it is you're looking for, whatever you want, as long as you're operating from your higher self, you will get everything you want. It's only when we operate from our lower self that we don't. So to finish, we're going to do a short meditation just to get you to hold that space of the higher self, and then you'll be able to leave this session feeling really empowered. So close your eyes and just take a few moments here. It's always nice to connect with your breath when we do this. Feel very grounded and rooted into the earth, but also elevated through the spine and the crown of the head. We've discussed so many different things tonight. Just allow all of this to land. Try not to analyze or rationalize. Just let it sink in. And with each breath, noticing you are ready. You're ready to make changes, to step out of the traps that you've perhaps been in, from programming to purpose, from your patterns to your potential, to being who you were always meant to be, to stepping into that version of yourself that your soul came on earth to be. Letting go of the fears, the doubts, the worries, and opening yourself up to your heart's desires, to abundance, and to truth. To live a life of meaning and contribution. And then bringing your hands into prayer position, having gratitude for this time and space that you've gifted to yourself, for this opportunity to connect with your higher self and with others. Bowing your head with thanks. And to finish, we'll say Namaste.
Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you very much for joining. Hope you have a good night.